It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and Ventnor City, New Jersey. And this is CarEdge Live for Thursday, July 17th with your host, me, Ray, and that rather damn good-looking kid next to me, Zach. And, what's going on, handsome?
I'm doing fantastic today, Pops. Thursday, July 17th, here in your apartment where it all began so many years ago. Folks, today we're going to be talking about the end of car dealers as we know it. Two huge stories in automotive news this morning, both of them potential death blows. All right, both of them really signifying a potential push to direct-to-consumer sales and the pulling back of restrictions against franchise dealer laws. We're going to talk about that. Before we do, we must remind you, it is now, Dad, what are we up to? Almost 6 years.
Yes, it'll be 6 years in the middle of December.
All right, so we're getting pretty close, folks, to our 6-year anniversary working together on CarEdge.com. That's the business behind the scenes.
Yes.
At CarEdge, we have an incredible team that supports all of our efforts. If you want to buy a car without the headache, and get the best deal possible, go to CarEdge.com. Let us assist you. Use the car search. I'll just say this, folks. There's a little Easter egg in the car search nowadays, all right? There's some new stuff in the car search that you have access to. So go check it out back at CarEdge.com. I don't know. Do it at your own risk, but click on negotiate this for me and see what happens. Check it out. Have some fun back at CarEdge.com. And obviously, if you're disinterested in doing the hard work, which it is very hard work, you can skip the dealership altogether back at CarEdge.com. We're going to thank our sponsor in about 10 minutes as well. But first things first, Dad, we've got two really big stories at the Department of Justice here in the United States. First comes by way of a letter that was sent by the Alliance for Automotive Innovation. They'd asked the U.S. Department of Justice to examine whether state franchise laws restrict competition and harm consumers, provoking a battle now with the National Automobile Dealers Association and an industry and in a clash of those two organizations. At the same exact time, Scout Motors is also writing a letter to the DOJ urging the U.S. to get rid of direct-to-consumer vehicle sales bans. So you have a left hook and you got a right hook here of two big stories where two big organizations, Scout is owned by Volkswagen.
No, they're not. Read the article.
Okay, whatever. You've got two big organizations making some really bold claims here to the Department of Justice to try and pull back the fact that we have to purchase vehicles, new vehicles at least, through car dealers. What did you make of these two articles and what's going on today?
I think the articles make great headlines.
They do.
Really excellent headlines. The Holy War, the Battle of the Titans.
That is exactly what it says here.
Yes. And if I remember correctly, the Tennessee Titans, well, they stunk last year. So I think, in essence, it's a big deal in the sense that the Alliance for Automotive Innovation, which says they support franchise dealerships 100%, except in one area, which was warranty repairs. So the Automotive News made it seem like the Alliance for Automotive Innovation is absolutely against franchise dealerships altogether. They are not, but the headline wouldn't have been as compelling if they had said that.
It is interesting timing, though, because the Scout one is very much anti-dealer across the board.
Yes. And the Scout one, you hit the nail on the head. You said, they're part of Volkswagen, and they say, well, no, we're not. We're a completely separate entity because, as we know, the only way you can do manufacturer direct to customer sales is if it is an entirely new entity altogether. And so automotive dealers are saying, we all know that Scout is backed by Volkswagen. It doesn't take much to figure all this out. And so obviously dealer associations are already suing Scout.
Yep.
But what is significant is that there are these two minor cracks in what it has been historically a franchise dealer network. But we know that Lucid, Rivian, Tesla, they found ways to exploit the cracks in the states that they could. They can't directly sell in all states.
Yep.
But I think the big deal is that it's going to be talked about more. I don't think you can go to the Department of Justice on a federal level when you're talking about 50 separate states that have rules and regulations regarding the sale of automobiles, new vehicles in their respective state.
Yeah.
So the federal government doesn't get to just usurp the state's obligations and rules here.
But to your point, I like the word cracks. So there's a formidable wall, which is the franchise dealership regulation that protects new car sales being sold through new car dealerships.
Yes.
And we are seeing at a federal level now 2 attacks on that approach. One is specifically around warranty work. So that's, again, what the Alliance for Innovation, Automotive Innovation is. But the other is from Scout. And to your point earlier, we've seen these other automakers, upstart automakers, Tesla, Lucid, Rivian. Wow. Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, excuse me, take a real stance against this. And I think it is something that consumers are also vocalizing as well. I mean, we have seen it in our comments for years now of people saying, and I think I even started one earlier in the show, Mr. C Northeast. Direct-to-consumer should be an option. Dealers can be an option as well. We know that dealers add a lot of value in the process of servicing and maintaining vehicles.
Yes.
And in the sales process, there's a real justification in many cases to just let someone buy like they do at Tesla.
Yes.
But they are not allowed to in many states here in the US. And this is exactly what, again, for example, if we come over here to Scout's article, I mean, Scout is literally saying they've got a VP of Government and Regulatory Affairs. What do you think his job is, Dad? Figure out how to sell cars direct to consumers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But I think the problem for Scout is, as much as they would like to claim they are a legitimate separate entity altogether from Volkswagen, there's that old saying, just follow the money. You think the money that it took to start up Scout didn't come from Volkswagen? I mean, if you follow the money, I'm pretty sure you're going to see that trail.
Yep.
So I don't know how you can honestly state that one has nothing to do with the other. I just don't understand how you can say that. And as long as you can't say that, then Scout has issues when it comes to, I've got coffee right here, that Scout has issues when it comes to doing direct to consumer.
But if they can prove something here, Dad, if they can prove something, remember Ford came out and they came out with their Ford Blue versus Ford, what was it? Ford, I don't even remember.
Nobody remembers, even Ford doesn't.
Well, I think they've in many ways, they've started to consolidate things back together because the EV sales haven't worked. But they said for their EV sales, there's going to be a whole new division, a whole new business. And we had the hypothesis then that was in part to potentially do some different sales tactics.
Yes.
They obviously went with over at Ford one price selling. It was, the EVs, there was no margin, whatever. So we've seen some of these businesses try and take creative approaches.
Yes.
In service of what? Trying to innovate on the sales process and trying to make the dealer less important in that sales process, at least how I think about it. And I do think there's a real push for no more car dealers and from many of these consumers. And likely what's going to happen is every single state's going to approach it differently. And there will ultimately be no federal guideline on if there can or can't be car dealers. And the lawyers are going to make a bunch of money in the whole process.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one thing I can assure you is that lawyers are going to maintain their income, if not increase their income over the next several years while there's this fight going on. So yes.
And I think Igor's got it spot on. As long as you register your brand as a tech company and not an automotive company, you can sell direct to customers. Yeah, like there are these loopholes that people are finding, that these organizations are finding. And obviously, there's a big rub there as well. From Michael earlier in the show, thank you, Michael. This is incredibly generous.
Yes, thank you.
Good to see you two together. Yeah, it's nice to be here. From Wednesday's show, the real question is, why do the CEOs who lose big bucks for their public companies face no consequences? But let's lay off the little guys when the stock drops 5 cents. You've been fighting for this for a long time.
I it astonishes me, honestly, that we literally in real time watch CEOs destroy or dismantle large corporations. Carlos Tavares at
Yeah.
Stellantis. We watched that in real time. We saw inventories build up in real time. We saw sales come to almost a complete stop in real time. And yet, it took forever for them to finally say, hey, maybe it's time for you to go.
Yeah.
Okay. We look at Ford, where for the last several years they've said, we've got to improve our quality. We're going to do better. And yet their expenses for warranty repairs and recall repairs keeps escalating. And yeah, it's the little guys that get laid off and the people that made all the bad decisions that put these companies in these positions, they keep their jobs, and the little guy is the guy that gets hurt. And I don't understand. And I realize there's stockholders involved, and I realize that the direction of these businesses today is completely different than what the direction of those businesses were when they were first founded.
Yeah.
Okay, because right now it's all about creating stockholder equity.
Yeah.
And so these guys are chasing money for all the wrong reasons. If you're an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
if you were just chasing money, would it work? Would the business work? I don't think
Isn't the
so.
whole playbook, forgive me if I'm being naive, but isn't the whole playbook, it's like find your niche in, do something really well, win a lot,
Yeah.
and then eventually just try and extract as much money as possible. And a lot of these mature businesses, like that's where those, MBA people go. It's like now they're in the phase of their existence where they just extract as much money as possible, which creates the opportunity for the next corporation, the next business to come in and win. But then eventually that playbook becomes 20 years later, 30 years later, 50, extract as much money as possible. So yeah, it's capitalism's weird, man. And no, definitely Ford, for example, who we talked about on Wednesday. What's going on there with the recalls is certainly.
I just don't get how those who continually make the poor business decisions keep getting extremely well compensated and continue to keep their jobs for years longer than their results would indicate that they should.
Would warrant. Let's come here from Pat B. Pops. I'm thinking the manufacturers don't want to deal with all the minutia involved in a car sale. What are your thoughts on that? You've talked about that ad nauseum for years, that you see a world where dealers still exist because there's a lot of pain in actually selling cars that the manufacturers don't really want to deal with. Tesla, to a degree, has solved some of this, it seems. People seem to love the Tesla car buying experience. I've never bought a Tesla, so I can't really comment on it. But people are fanatical about that brand, and I think in part because you can buy direct. So, what do you think of this? Do you think manufacturers don't want to deal with customers?
I think manufacturers are pretty good at manufacturing, and they have no concept as to what it takes to sell something. There is a huge difference between manufacturing, producing, and wholesaling your product to somebody to sell it, as opposed to manufacturing, producing, and then becoming the seller of that product as well. It is an avenue that most manufacturers don't want to go down. Ford tried it, I think, in the late 90s in the Indianapolis area, where they owned all of the Ford dealerships in that area were factory-owned stores. I think, if I remember correctly, that experiment lasted a year and a half, 2 years, maybe 2.5 years at the most, before Ford sold every one of those stores to legitimate retail Ford dealers.
Yeah.
It is a completely different world. I have spent my entire adult life in the retail automotive space. I know what it's like. I know what the issues are. I know what the demands are. Just because Tesla can sell a car at X number and that number changes all the time, and people go, well, this was easy, and it was, and I get it. But most people can't do what a lot of Tesla customers do. Most people have credit issues, or a lot of
Sure.
people have credit issues. They have trade-ins, they have negative equity, they whatever
Complexities,
they have. These are things that or at a dealership level that dealers have to work with.
Yeah, but I do want to pull this up. Josh is one of the concierges back at
Yes.
CarEdge.com, work with our concierge team. I can vouch, buying a new Tesla
Yeah.
and working with their service department is amazing, much less overhead involved. That's coming from someone who, as a profession,
Yes.
supports and helps people get fair car deals, good car deals. So really, really good transparency there from Josh about his experience with Tesla. Appreciate you sharing that. Makes a lot of sense. But I do think, to put a bow on the initial story here, and don't worry about this for today, Pops, we're good. Let's just keep rolling. To put a bow on the initial story for today, we have some cracks in this foundation of franchise dealerships.
Yes.
One is on the warranty side, which, we didn't spend a ton of time on. We really just hit more on the headline from Automotive News, which is that the Alliance for Automotive Innovation and NADA clash in, quote, holy war over state franchise laws and Justice Department review. Again, the big thing here is that there is a push from the Alliance for Automotive Innovation to dismantle some aspects of state franchise dealer laws.
Yes.
Their real push, you can see here, NADA says that this is a direct attack on the franchise system. But the real idea here is that there needs to be some refinement of what it looks like to have state legislation to protect car dealers.
Yes.
And at the same time, the same exact day, the Department of Justice also receives this letter from Scout saying, you know what? Get rid of your regulations that ban direct-to-consumer sales, which we all know happens on a state-by-state level.
Yes.
But those are cracks. Those are cracks in the foundation of an industry that definitely is seeing innovation. Look at Carvana. Look at Tesla.
It is the first stage of creating conversations and looking for innovative ways to change
how cars
get sold. Now, saying that, does that mean that there won't be dealers moving forward? There's going to be dealers moving forward. I mean,
well, this change also is going to take time. And you know who's going to dig their heels in? The dealers who make billions of dollars annually. So this change will take time. But I think the first phase, well, I just did this whole thing. Awareness.
Yeah.
Then you got to express it. Then you got to do we're at the awareness phase of this journey, which is, maybe we can change some things. Now we're starting to talk about it.
We here at CarEdge, you and I, from 5.5 years ago, we always thought that things need to change as to how cars are sold. We always thought that customers need to be better informed and better educated.
Yep.
We lived with the mantra of knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And that we wanted to level the playing field for folks. So as somebody who spent 43 years in retail automotive, I'm not going to sit here and say that there aren't things that need to be addressed at a dealership level. There are, okay? And through our efforts, we're trying to change it. Obviously, direct to customer sales is trying to be brought about by new car companies that are coming out, or tech companies that are coming out. It's time it's been well past time to have the conversations and modernize how cars are sold.
All right, so to that point, that end, I'm gonna share a little something. It's brand new.
Yes.
Okay, it's I'm calling it an Easter egg right now. If you go to CarEdge.com, we're running a test. Okay, we're running a test. If you go to the car search,
I never did well on tests, just so you know.
Join the club. If you go to the car search, so either click shop new or shop used, it'll take you to the car search. And now on the car search, again, this is just a test. It might not be here tomorrow, folks. We're just running a test. If you click this negotiate for me button, this vehicle, if you've now signed up for our new auto negotiator, which is $9.99 while we're running the test, this vehicle will now be automatically added to your dashboard where CarEdge AI, this is our first test of this, Dad. CarEdge AI automatically sent this message on my behalf.
Wow.
It created an email alias for me, so the dealer doesn't email me back. It emails my alias. Hey there, my name's Zach. I'm local. I'm interested in that vehicle. Here's the VIN. It's been on your lot for 38 days. Can you give me the out the door price? it will then do the full negotiation for you with this dealer. We're testing it, folks.
Okay.
Josh says, I do not like tests. It's a fun test, Josh. We're testing it, man. And we know that our concierge team has been, to a degree, leveraging some of the work that we've been doing behind the scenes. But this is our first time opening it up, testing it out there. So,
and you said this was $99?
No, $9.99.
What?
Yeah, we're just testing, man. We're just testing. I'm going to have to take this video down afterwards if it blows up or something. But give it a try. Give it a try. It's pretty doggone cool. It does email. It does text. Eventually, we'll also be doing phone calls. We think. So check it out back at CarEdge.com. But it's a test, folks. Test. Do not, it might break. It might not. Whatever.
Might work. It might not work. That's why it's a test.
Test.
We might score 100. We might score a 65. Well, if I'm involved, we're scoring a 65.
We're scoring the 65.
Yes.
Check that out. Okay, Dad, let's switch gears a little bit here. Let's turn our attention over to Volvo. We've been talking about automakers and brands that are struggling right now.
Yes.
Well, here's an automaker and a brand that is struggling right now. Tariffs and low demand drive Volvo to shrink their U.S. lineup. So think about that. We've got an automaker that's really looking in the rear view mirror and saying, okay, the good times are behind us. We got to consolidate. It feels similar to what's going on over at Nissan and some of these other brands.
Not only are they having issues here in the United States, they're also having issues in Europe. Volvo recently just lost $1 billion, and they're asking the EU to work some type of tariff situations, because if not, perhaps Volvo, which is thought of as a Swedish company, which is owned by a Chinese company, Geely Motors. But that's a rather iconic brand that, me personally, I would hate to see that go away. It's a brand that was always well known.
But we've been talking about that. There's going to be more financial pressure on these automakers. And we think more consolidation as a result.
Yes.
Or an intermediary step, a phase in this journey, consolidating the lineup. We got to have less vehicles. We got to have less options.
Well, for some of the brands, they don't have a lot of vehicles in their lineup. I remember at Acura at one time, it was like we said on a national level, Acura said, well, we're like a stool with 4 legs.
Okay.
The only issue is we only have 3 legs on the stool at the moment. And because we're missing that 4th leg, it's kind of a bit rocky and a little wobbly. And so you have to have something to sell, and that something to sell has to be something that someone might want to buy. You can't have the Integra, the Acura Integra, and when they had the Integra and they had the Legend, okay, and they had the 4 legs to the stool. But you can't suddenly take away one of those legs and expect it to work. And part of the issue with Volvo is they took part of their product line and gave it to a fresh company, Polestar, who was going to sell manufacturer to customer direct.
Yeah, another one of those examples.
VinFast is another, where both of them have said, well, the hell with this. It works better with a franchise dealership network because, well, the franchise dealership is the one investing the money in the building and the this and the that, and they're the ones that are putting their money at risk as opposed to us, especially when we have a limited amount of cash, because sales aren't what we had hoped them to be.
So Volvo's in a tricky position. They've made some strategic decisions that haven't necessarily worked out. They're losing. They've lost $1 billion. We know Nissan lost almost $5 billion last year. So you're seeing these again, cracks in a different foundation, although there was some interesting overlap there with the direct-to-consumer sales and the end of car dealerships. There's still a Polestar dealership about 2 blocks from my office in Washington, D.C. No car dealers, no new car dealerships in D.C. They don't have them.
Yes.
But I got a Polestar one right down the street, a Tesla one right down the street.
Yeah, you have an experience center.
Yeah, experience. So it is an interesting dynamic of what's going on.
One of the things that I always thought was interesting was, that the people that I worked for at one time at the mini store, we had BMW and other brands. One of the most interesting things was that when they would build a new facility, the old facility was still there, and they ended up renting those facilities to a company called Tesla. so that they can have an experience center.
Yeah.
It's an interesting time in automotive, both on the retail and manufacturing levels. And what will be interesting over the course of time is to see who survives and who does not.
All right, speaking of surviving, Dad, SRT Revival offers Stellantis dealers chance for much-needed Halo models. It's been so interesting over at Stellantis as leadership has evolved over there. They're going back to the basics, baby.
So's GM.
So's GM. Yeah, GM, we didn't even talk about today, but GM repurposing one of their manufacturing plants that was for EVs to be for SUVs and pickup trucks.
Yeah.
Shocker. So I think what's really important here with this news with regards to Stellantis is you've got these manufacturers going back to what worked for them in the past, moving away from things like the Dodge Charger or EV or the Challenge. Like they're coming back. Yeah, thank you, Tim Kaniskis. Exactly.
Yes,
they're coming back to a world where they're doing the things that have worked for them long term.
And they're coming back to that world because part of the tax bill that was recently passed part of that was that if there were any fines to manufacturers that were due because they did not hit their CAFE mileage standards that the government had in place, those fines will not be collected.
Yeah.
Okay. And
retroactively.
That goes, retroactively to 2022 and onward.
Yeah.
And a lot of these companies spent hundreds of millions of dollars a year in fines, or bought carbon credits from Tesla because obviously Tesla is making everything that's zero emissions, and these manufacturers couldn't get there, so they would buy the credits from Tesla. That's where so much of Tesla's money came from. I think it was like $2.5 billion.
Yeah,
just in
selling those credits. Yeah.
Yes, so that what we're seeing is government encouraging the manufacturers to abandon EVs, go back to ICE, internal combustion engine vehicles, not concern themselves with fuel economy and fuel efficiency and emission efficiency, because we're no longer going to A, enforce it, or B, if we did enforce it, fine you for not hitting those numbers.
Yeah.
So I think moving forward, we're going, at least in the United States, maybe just in North America, we're going to continue to see the growth of ICE vehicles. And I think we will see some of the bigger engines that have gone by the wayside come back, because the manufacturers won't be concerned with hitting those CAFE numbers. So, you might see the V8s and V6s coming back, replacing those turbo 4 cylinders that have been put in vehicles, going back to some older technologies that are less expensive to produce, which might allow them, this is the big might allow them to actually lower the MSRPs on some of the ICE vehicles that they'll be producing in the future, which will make vehicles more affordable to the masses here in the United States who are struggling at the moment.
I think Josh is spot on. The horsepower wars are back, and I love it. Yeah, I think we are literally seeing a blast of the past coming back for where things used to be. Dad, a moment ago, this is why we're running this test, folks. A moment ago, I kicked off an AI negotiation. This is insane, folks. This is insane. So now I'm looking at my little dashboard. 2 texts have been sent in an email. I'm going to view the full chat history, Dad. So the first message sent by my AI agent using my alias. So I'm not receiving the emails. All right, I want the price. I get a reply from the dealership. Thank you for getting in touch. I will check this for you, and a member of our team will get back to you soon. Do you prefer to be called at your number? Which again, folks, made a number for me for further discussion about your needs. Let's see how I replied. Hey, Amelia, appreciate you getting back to me. I'm actually tied up with work and can't hop on the phone right now. Email works best for me, just whenever you and your team have the OTD numbers ready for that white 2025 F-150 Platinum, VIN ending in the last 6 digits there. Shoot them over. Want to make sure the full breakdown is there, taxes, doc fee, all that stuff before I come in. Thanks. Looking forward to your replies. Guys, this is so cool, so fun, such a cool thing. Yeah, Trinocula saying bot wars. I don't know. I mean, imagine a world To be clear, our team's using this software
Yes.
behind the scenes to help
Yeah.
empower our, like, it's pretty neat stuff, pretty cool stuff. So you can play around with it yourselves. Again, it's a test.
It's just a
folks.
test.
And if it helps you get a car deal, great, but it's a test.
You know, and truth be told, you are tied up at the moment. You are
I am at
broadcasting
work.
live,
I am at work.
and you don't have time to get back to her. But your AI alias agent, okay, is working on your behalf.
It's crazy, man.
It is, and think of it this way: that son of a gun, he's never taken any time off. He is always there working on your behalf.
What a crazy concept. Anyway, folks, all right, we're going to call it a show. Check out CarEdge.com. Always working on fun things back there to help folks out. To be very clear, folks, if we can help you with anything, that's the resource to go to, CarEdge.com. And
Yes,
just a little bit of foreshadowing here.
yes,
I turned 30 next Tuesday.
that's correct.
We got a big 30% off promotion. So it pains me. It pains me to say it.
No, it shouldn't pain you to
Maybe
say.
the team, maybe we can pull it forward. Maybe we'll start it sooner.
Yes.
A big 30% off promotion coming soon. So if you're interested in our skip the dealership solutions, if you're interested in CarEdge insights, things like that, you know, right around the corner.
Tell the team to set that up today.
I don't know.
Now, come on, you just told the world, okay? Why make the people wait? If you're going to give it to them on Tuesday,
Yeah.
Okay, that's what, 4 days away, 5
5
days
days
away.
away, yeah.
Give it to them now.
Justice, I think, just hit the nail on that. Well,
Yeah, just work it out. Give it to them now. Let's do that.
all right. I'm gonna send some messages. We'll see if we can get that 30% off started sooner rather than later. Folks, thanks for tuning in. We're back tomorrow, side by side. We're gonna go film some videos and eat some lunch. When is Pops' birthday? May 25th.
Yes. Well, it took you 30 years to remember that.
Folks, we'll see you tomorrow. Love you, Dad.
Love you too, handsome. Thank you, everybody.